Now, before I tell you what those tubs are for, let's clear something up very quickly. Every so often, in the comments, I get a comment something like, ha ha ha, listen to the way he says aluminium. Now, almost certainly you watching this know the difference between British aluminium and American aluminum. It's not that I'm pronouncing it differently, they are two completely different words. Aluminum is the American one, and the sort of British spelling and pronunciation is aluminium. We have an I at the end, which kind of changes the way you say the whole word. And in fact, I think the guy who named it initially, named that metal, I think he called it aluminum, and then changed it to aluminum, and then aluminium, or something like that. So yeah, I think he kind of screwed that up from what I understand. So yeah, it's just something that pops up every time. So whenever you see that in the comments, like, I know I'm talking to you and you're listening and you're like, yeah, I knew that, Magnus, and that's okay. But whenever anyone else mentions it, maybe you could point them to the start of this video, just to sort of show that it's a sort of Americanism and a Britishism, or yeah, you get the idea. Just to have that little rant there. Now, tubs, because we are out of tubs. Oh, I need to answer a question quickly, give me a second. Okay, well, I can't quite find the specific question or questions on there, but there were at least two questions where people said, because, you know, I've been showing you the issues I've been having with the tumbling titanium vegetable peelers and cheese slicers, they said, why don't you just reduce the number that's in there? Because they're banging into each other, so I showed that they were scratching, or at least explained that they were scratching. Here's the problem with that. I'm going to get my trusty whiteboard marker. The tumbling requires roughly 24 hours in one type of media in a certain way, plus another 12 hours, plus another 8 hours, plus another, what is it, 2 hours, which equals 46 hours, is that right? Yeah, 46 hours, which is almost, you know, plus 2 hours for general stuff equals 48 hours equals 2 days. Oh, it's rubbish pen. Now, there are 1,550 handles. So we do 1,550 divided by, let's say, 12 at a time. A lot of people suggest that I do 12 at a time, equals, now I'm going to use a calculator for this because my brain is not in calculating mode. 1,550 divided by 12 is 129.16. We'll call it, we'll round it up, we'll call it 130. We times that by 2 days, and we get 260 days. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, I don't think I need to explain any further why doing 12 at a time is not possible. I'd be finished at this time next year, almost. It's that bad. You know, that's allowing for like no breakdowns, no nothing, everything just going swimmingly. Yeah, that is simply the reason. That's why it is such a battle. Theoretically, this machine should get 200, 300 handles in at a time. Believe it or not, it really can do that. I mean, I've done 900 titanium tweezers in one go, handled it effortlessly, but that's the problem. So it is a battle. That's why I'm pushing so hard. That's why every day this week the video has been me in this workshop and general talking, and you know, I don't really get stressed out by it, but it does consume my entire attention, and therefore the videos have been definitely of a lower standard this week. That's fine. It's just, you know, like, certain things at certain times have to get a priority, and this is a priority right now. Okay, so that is the tumbler changed over, took about an hour. Let's get out of here, it's a little bit loud. Now, there was a YouTube comment, I can't find it just now, but it said in yesterday's video, or the day before, it said, why don't you stop cable tying them together? You know, like I was cable tying two vegetable peelers together by the handles, because he said because it wasn't working. That's my fault. I haven't shown what's in there for the last 2 days. It's actually changed. It's not cable tied together. I'm using another method that we're trialing, but to be 100% honest, there's certain things in my business that I don't show on film. Things like, you know, exactly how the pocket clip and cap for the titanium pen and mechanical pencil are made. It took a lot of time and a lot of money to develop it, and the way that's machined is like extremely proprietary, because if someone finds out how to do it, like if they figure out how to do it and copy it, you know, what can I do? But I'm not just going to show it because, like I said, it took so much time and money, and you know, there's an advantage there, you know, and I'll take sort of any advantage I can get, you know, if I can get it. So, and that's similar to this, that the method we're using just now for keeping the peelers separate is, yeah, it's something I'm not really wanting to show. So that's why, you know, I don't really like being secretive, or what feels like secretive, but you know, like it's just the nature of business, really. 99% of things I show you business, me, everything. There's just a couple of things or a handful of things that I just sort of gloss over and, you know, not make a big deal about it. This is about as big a deal as I'll make about it, and you know, we'll just get on with the rest of the video. Right, question here. Magnus, do you make any jewellery like titanium rings or pendants? No, it's something I get asked for quite a lot, but just too many other projects going on just now, really. I think, truthfully, if there's something I know I'll use myself, I'll tend to give it a bit of priority. So I wouldn't mind making like a titanium, kind of fairly industrial, kind of guy's bracelet, something like that. I think that would be pretty cool. Can you detail your vlogging setup, camera, microphone and lens, thanks? I will do that soon. I am just about to change, I think in the next couple of weeks, depending on, you know, when it arrives. I'm going to change to a different camera, different lens and different microphone. So I'm not even using a microphone just now because the connection in this is broken, part of the reason for getting another camera. A gun-shaped spinner? Question mark? Possibly. Not quite sure how that would look, or have a think about it. Have you always been in this type of industry? If not, explain what made you go into it. No, I've not. When I was a teenager, I did make kind of stuff in the shed out of metal and in school, and really enjoyed it, but sort of in the intervening 15 years, I got sidetracked. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't, you know, I mean, in hindsight, I look at it as getting sidetracked. You know, I thought, oh, I'll try this, I'll do this. You know, I always had in my head that, oh, I want to be really rich because it'll make me happy, or I want more money, or I want a cool car because it'll make me happy. You know, finally, I figured out that that's not how people work, and that's not how the world works. That's just, you know, it's bad psychology, it's bad, unhealthy, completely inaccurate thinking. You know, so what I do now is, you know, I'm making products that I want to make, and I'm making them as good as I can. Even if it takes longer, and you know, I could make more money doing cheaper stuff and getting stuff out there, and you know, I just can't do it. I've got to kind of, you know what, this isn't even answering your question. What was the question? Oh yeah, okay, so I've not always been into it, but what got you into it? Long story short, I discovered the Kickstarter crowdfunding platform because I was looking at 3D printers. A lot of them were being crowdfunded on there. I saw other successful projects on there, and among them were things made out of titanium, little pocket tools and things like that, and I thought, hey, I could do that, which is pretty handy because, you know, I'm working a job, I have no money, you get the money up front to produce the goods, and then you ship them away. And I thought, I could do that, so I made a multi-tool thing, I made a key holder, and you know, it just grew from there. Basically, that is pretty much the long and short of it. Magnus, when should I expect to see you making titanium fountain pens? I love them, and I think other people do too. I will make a fountain pen at some point, I just don't know when. I've got the current pen, click pen. I will hopefully be doing like a bolt action type pen, so I doubt it's going to be this year. Ever thought of making a spinning top? Yes, just not prioritised it. Fidget spinners are definitely going to happen before a spinning top. How long do you think before we see something in tungsten? Also, any idea what the first product will be? Certainly weeks and weeks away. Almost certainly it would be a spinner, a nice little heavy spinner. Back down at the workshop, quick check on the tumbler. It's about 3 hours since I started it going. You know, just to kind of make sure. A couple other things I want to check down here as well. Yep. No jams, no issues. Looks okay, not too dry, not too wet. All good. A question came in a couple of hours ago, and it says, here's a question. I am a high school student who has a bit too many ambitions, and I was wondering how hard it is to own a crafting business like yours. Is it expensive? Also, I was wondering if you have my favourite machine, the lathe. Right, there's 3 things here. One, it's a very difficult question to answer. You may not think it, but give me a second and I'll explain why. As to the last bit, there's very sort of awkward sun coming through. Right, that's a bit better. The lathe. No, I don't have a lathe. It's actually something, that's better. It's actually something I'm not hugely interested in, weirdly enough, but maybe that's just because I've not gone into, say, making spinner buttons or something like that, you know, and I could craft it myself. Milling machines, really have an obsession about those, but lathes not so much. Weird, but there you go. The question, how difficult is it to get into it? Is it expensive? When I was in university, maybe in my first year I think, there was a talk given in the evening by someone who was like the CEO of a software company, and he had something like 50 employees. He sort of told that story how he had gone from 1 employee, 2 employee, and he was at like a function that his company was giving, and he's talking to people, and he ended up talking to this young kind of student type, and he said, "Oh, and what do you do?" And the student said to him, "I work for you." And that was the point he realised, wow, I've got a kind of big company here. Anyway, successful company, software, making computer games. I think up in Dundee in Scotland, where a lot of the big computer games are made. If you're a gamer, I don't know if you know it or not, but a lot of computer games are actually made there. They've got computer degree courses, and they were one of the first places to do dedicated computer game programming degrees, certainly in the UK anyway. Anyway, massive tangent there. I asked the question, there was a big talk, a few hundred people, and you know, like I was starting to I was kind of interested in business, but not actually doing anything about it. And you know, there was like a question and answer session at the end, and I was just like, right, I'm going to ask a question, and I like stood there ready to ask my question, and I'd never asked a question in any sort of situation before, or even years afterwards. Like, I was too shy. Like when I was younger, just couldn't talk to anyone. No, there's no way. But I don't know how I managed it. But I asked a question, and I don't know. I think I was just asking a question for the sake of asking a question, because it was a stupid question. I know that now. Actually, I knew that as soon as he answered. Within 3 words, he said, within a few words, my question was, I still remember it. I said, how important is risk in business? And as soon as he answered it, he said, and I don't forget it because I felt like an idiot after asking it. He said, well, business is all about risk. And immediately I was just like, oh, what a waste of a question. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I never ever forgot it, but that was his answer, and I completely asked the wrong question. It didn't even make any sense. I can see that now, sort of, how many years later? 15 years later, something like that. That's kind of my roundabout way of answering this question. You know, like how expensive is it, and you know, to own a crafting business. Like, the way I look at it is, you know what? It's really tough to answer. You know, like, I am in more debt than I've ever been in my life. I owe money on my milling machine, the water jet cutter, the ute, well, the pickup truck I drive around, and you know, and so there's cash flow coming into the business, there's cash going out. You know, sometimes like right now, where you know, I have people banging on my door saying, where's the spinners, where's the spinner, where's the spinner? You know, I've got a decent list of people ready to buy. I don't have the capacity. I am struggling to solve the tumbling issue of these titanium cheese slicers and vegetable peelers. My delivery on my project for my pill pots, my titanium pill pots is already late because of the tumbling issues with the cheese slicers and that are pushing it out. And then I've got to get, as soon as I get past these issues, I've got to get straight into the tumbling of the pens and pencils for the Kickstarter project. You know, and I'm still hitting my overdraft, and I'm having to like ask for extensions. You know, I don't even know if I should be telling you this, but I'm telling you. But it's all good. Like, I've got an aim that I'm aiming for. There's always that thing, people say, hey, why don't you just sell spinners, make some cheap things? And you know what? There's 100 cheap things I could make. I could outsource to China and have a blisteringly successful Kickstarter project, you know, just bang bang, one after the other, being fulfilled, shipped around the world. It's not what I want to do. It's not about money. It's about the bigger picture. I mean, truthfully, yes, money is an aspect. You wouldn't do this for free. You wouldn't, you know, like, bring on that much debt, you know, have all these headaches and all that without some sort of a reward. But the main reward is getting these products made that don't exist and getting them out there. And, you know, like, money just allows me to invest in more equipment to do more of it. And the main thing is that, you know, I'm happy every day. Because, yeah, I won't go into it, but I used to not be a very happy person pretty much most of my entire life until the last few years. Very jealous person, envious, always think material possessions would make me happy. Thankfully I've gotten over that for the most part. There's still a little 5% of me that's not quite got it yet, you know, like, but it's a work in progress. So that is my really sort of poorly handled and fumbled answer to, you know, is it expensive, or, you know, to own a crafting business, you know, what the question was. I think that's really, really my best answer I've got. If anyone wants to hear more on this, then, you know, I'm happy to talk about it. It's something I think about a lot, you know, because some days you're like, why am I doing this? It's all going wrong. Not only am I not making any progress, I'm in more debt than I've ever been. But you know what? Here's a secret. I'm not a working for someone type person. Every day that I've ever worked for someone, I've hated it, literally. I just don't have the brain for that. Like, it's not, like, I can do the job, whatever job it is, fine. I've worked on the oil rigs, I've worked in IT, I worked in a retail menswear store when I was traveling. Like, not that many jobs, but a few different varied jobs, and I just dislike everyone intensely. But here's the thing, here's the takeaway. In fact, I'm going to quote myself today. So I will leave you with this quote. It is by Magnus MacDonald. And I said, the worst day working for yourself is still better than the best day working for someone else.